What's up again, everybody? Let's talk new modern builds. Here's a team I built like yesterday in like 10 minutes. Okay, I've been playing a ton of Seething Corruption Manchun, where you try to wipe the opponent's board and push with like a bunch of really strong orc knobs in this case. And I kept losing, so I said, you know what? I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to try to make this Atlantis the one that everyone knows, Wealthy Kingdom, the one I was kind of hyped about when it first came out. Oh no, the internet. Oh, there we go. This one, and let's see. I was going to try to make that work because everyone knows the combo. It was really, really strong pre-rotation, before everything rotated to, or I guess everything's still technically not rotated, but when rotation happens, it'll just be down to campaign box products. So this combo still lives with this Atlantis and Black Widow. Black Widow, the Widow's Bite, the one where if you purchase it and field it, all of your other character dice get +1 attack. Okay, so this combo's still there. It's still functional. It's still in modern rotation, but we lost the ability to make sidekicks, okay, on command. There is the Atlantis Global, but it's not printed on this version. Atlantis. There's this, fist shield sidekick maker, but it's not printed on the version that we're running. And obviously you can't run two, so we have to find another way to do it. And I was pretty hyped about this Lido, and I tried it once. I don't know if I tried it with this not that one, fan favorite. I was pretty hyped about this Lido, and I tried it once with like Atlantis, and I also put like Yawning Portal to try and make it cheaper and all of that. And I thought to myself, man, this just feels clunky. But I thought I would revisit it. So I took these 3 cards and I said, okay, well, instead of just going the Yawning Portal route, because I've been down on Yawning Portal lately, how can we make this work? Well, we obviously know that, the cycle is what it is. We want to try and use bag control in some form or fashion, and we lost Resurrection. But what we didn't lose was Atlas. So if we have Atlas on for bag control, then all you have to do is on your first turn, if you're going second, you buy a Lido. Okay, it goes over to used with your 4 dice, so you have 5 dice. Then you prep it with Atlas, so you're rolling at turn 3, and buy an Atlantis on turn 2. So then you roll Lido on turn 3, roll Atlantis on turn 4, along with Lido doing her thing if she's still in the field and you fielded her. Then you just have this crazy thing. So again, if you don't know, Lido fan favorite says while she's active at the end of your roll and reroll step, you can spin any number of your sidekick dice to their superstar face, to their sidekick face, okay? So in other words, if you roll this with the Atlantis, okay, if you roll Atlantis while she's out and Atlantis comes up, well, you have the ability to make all other sidekick dice that you're rolling alongside of it into the 1/1s. That will trigger Atlantis. So your bag will cycle completely. And I mean literally completely, because you can choose how many of them you want to spin. You don't have to spin all of them, you can spin some of them. And that's also very interesting. So it works really, really well if it can stick. And that's the biggest thing, if it can stick. So I thought to myself, with this 4-card core, what do we go to from there? I thought about like what kinds of things, because we've been playing a lot of new modern, what kinds of things are popular right about now? And there's a lot of like big attackers that can do a lot of serious damage, overcrush and stuff like that. So I thought to myself, how can I prevent that? And I said, well, static field actually in this setup doesn't hurt us, because if our goal is to field a bunch of sidekicks, buy a Black Widow, field that, this wide board can't really be hurt by static field, just it really ever, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that a lot. I'm a fan of that. So we can run static field without having to worry about our opponent really making use of it against us to a bunch of, to a certain degree. Then I also thought, okay, so I have a way to get this and get that and get this, all because of Atlas cycling the bag. But if we miss Atlantis, how do we get it back? And the answer that everyone has been running is Supreme Intelligence. Okay, Supreme Intelligence, pay 2 global, move a 2-cost die from used to prep, which is really, really good. When you miss Atlantis, or even when Atlantis goes off, if you just save 2 energy, you can do it all again next turn. Because likely you're fielding a bunch of sidekicks and then pushing them all. They all go to used unblocked if they are unblocked, and then your bag is sort of upside down. So you're trying to get back to that Atlantis. you don't have to worry about it. You just go to Supreme Intelligence. And again, not all of this, none of this is really that groundbreaking. Okay, this is all a very similar list to what we saw run at Worlds, except it's all New Modern. Okay, continuing in the New Modern kick, what else do we include on this? Well, in the instance that you run up against Godcatcher, it would be good that you don't die to a bunch of Tintins, or so I've heard. So I put Gazer on here, and I will be honest, this is the Intimidate one. If you Intimidate out a Godcatcher token, that Godcatcher token ceases to exist. It does not come back at the end of the turn, because once it leaves the field, tokens cease to exist. So this card is very good against that, and I will say that I have played this team 5-6 times maybe and never bought a Gazer. Literally never bought it. But it's there for one specific, thing, and that's to combat Godcatchers early. So I've never run up against that. I've played 5 or 6 games, and I've played, I think, 1 or 2 of them against Godcatcher, and I just was able to kind of get there before they did their craziness. So again, this just never landed, but it's there for a reason. And then probably more importantly is this one, Istrid Horn. Okay, so Istrid Horn Moneylender. This is a really interesting card to talk about because this ability, okay, canceling a global, essentially, sounds very similar when you think about it to Eddie Guerrero, right? Eddie Guerrero, I Steal, cancels all global abilities because it takes all of your opponent's energy away from them, okay? But there's some key differences. This is a when fielded effect that you can use on your main phase, essentially, by fielding it, okay? Your opponent can't do anything to stop it because you don't have to pass them priority until you choose. This, oh, where'd he go? This, you have to pass priority to your opponent before you attack with anything. And because of that, they are allowed to use some globals. So the attack here is a really important thing. A win attacks ability can be messed with if your opponent's running things that that can do stuff against your blocked attackers or have any global that can work against you before the attack step. Now this also can turn off your own static field, which is pretty cool. That's why I kind of like that as well. So if your opponent's like, aha, I've kept a mask, I'll use my own clay face to get 2 masks, and then I'll push back 2 of your attackers and not die. And then I field this during the bomb turn of rolling Atlantis and just end up killing him because I turn off static field. And then they're sad a little bit, but it is what it is. That's the game, right? So we have 7 cards and 1 basic action. So how do we fill in the last couple of cards? And this is the basic action I have. I'll do the basic action because that one's easier. I put Too Big to Fly because it's a fist pump. Pay 1 fist, target character die gets +1 attack. When you inevitably do what I do all the time, and you miss all of your Black Widows while rolling them with Atlantis, you purchase a Black Widow, field a sidekick, roll the Black Widow on the 2 fist side. Yes, you missed out on this +1 attack for all of your sidekicks, but at least you have 2 fists with which to buff up 1 or 2 character dice. You can spread that around as you see fit. So it's a little bit of a mitigation when you miss all of your fists, like I tend to do. So that's pretty good little addition. This one could flip to something else. You could put something else on there like, I don't know, the Wallop Global might be good against some big things, you know? But I think Static Field kind of does that job as well. So with the final slot on the team, what do we end up going with? This has been the toughest one for me to fill because I haven't used it. I had Bobby Heenan. No, Booby. Oh, that's bad. Oh, okay. I had Bobby Heenan on here. I am leaving that in. I'm not cutting that out. Okay, Bobby Heenan on here, but I never bought him. And so I was playing this like last night, and I went 1-1 against the Great Michael. The Great Mike. I don't know how he wants to go. I went 1-1 against him. The first game I lost, the second game I won, so we split. It was really fun. You should check it out on Ross Foster's YouTube channel. I think he recorded both of them. And we ended up talking afterwards, and I ended up cutting this in favor of a card that he mentioned, and also that Reg mentioned, and I thought about it a lot after he mentioned it for the first time, and then Mike brought it up as well, and I was like, well, you know what? I will give it a shot because it's interesting. And that's Xanathar. Xanathar Paranoid Tyrant has this global. It says pay 1, once per turn, prep an NPC from your used pile. You can do this on both your turn and your opponent's turn. So I was thinking about that. Perhaps this is just another good way to churn through the bag after you miss Atlantis. So that's where I'm at with this team. It works really well. I mean, fish in New Modern seem like they're going to be just fine because there's not much action mitigation. There is some form of removal. Technically, I bring a force attack global, so if my opponent forces Lido to attack, I do have static field to use. So that is something to think about. But there's not a lot of mitigation in the format currently before, obviously, we get all of that mitigation that we know is coming in Gauntlet. So what do you think about this team? Would you change this team up? And if so, how would you do it? If you like this video, if you like Dice Masters content, if you like the channel, feel free to like and subscribe. That makes you part of our community, and this community is a great one, and I'm always glad to welcome new people to it. We are getting closer to the 1,500 subscriber mark, so I'm going to do a giveaway pretty soon. So if you want to be into that, be liking and subscribing videos, and we'll talk more about how you get entered. If you want to support me on Patreon, hit the link in the description and head over to the Patreon and check that out. As always, thanks for watching. Sorry. Then I reload. I forgot you put that there for me.
We added it.
How kind. 1, 2, 3. Wow,
Double Atlantis.
Oh my goodness. Look at
Okay. All right.
that. Natural roll of land, maybe?
All right. So Steven's trying to go as wide as possible on this turn. He gets an Atlantis. He gets a Lido. He gets one sidekick and, oh my gosh, 2 Lidos. That is the start of something great. I agree. There are 3 blockers. There are 3 blockers.
Look at all that. I gotta pay all this.
Look at all those chickens.
That.
He only gets to draw and roll 2 more.
All for fielding. How hilarious. Okay.
One of them will get through.
Right? Maybe more.
Yeah, maybe even, yeah. Keep the question mark. Mike's golden rule. Doesn't get any sidekicks. Still gets a question mark back, which is, you know, not crushing news for anyone. Let's see what we draw. This is going to be important. Sidekick. Oh my, here. Yep. So that's net one attacker, net 1 energy, which is wild. Oh my gosh. I think it's. I think he can go wide enough, and he rolled question marks and fists. The lowest Black Widow is going to be a 2 attack, right? Because it won't get any buffs, and that's without even using the fists. With the too big to fly global, adds 1 attack.
It's probably better to field this first. Field
Yep.
that first. All of this stuff has +1/+1, or +1 attack, I should say. Field this one. No, I already paid it. That's that for this current fielding. That one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, still +2, and then +1, and then pay that. Fields there.
So the Black Widows are +0. The second one's +1. The second one's third one's +2, and everybody else is +3.
The biggest 3 would be these 3. We're assuming you block those.
So he's got 6.
Still be looking at 5.
Yep.
4.
4 +4 is 8. Yep.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
And that's the game, folks.
4 opponents.
How much damage can you generate in 14 seconds? Chaining that sidekick was huge.